Welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and I was flipping through some the hometown journals, and I'm like, well, look at this blast from the past. She's like, oh yeah, that's my Uncle Timmy. And I'm like, no, above it, it's a picture of Beth when she.
It was me.
It was Beth. I'm like, no, that's.
I didn't look at myself. I was looking at the wrong picture. I'm like, yep, that's my uncle.
That's my uncle. I'm like, no, that. We're like, my friend Chris Roopson and I were like, man, don't you wish we were as fat as what we thought we were in high school and college?
I look great in this picture that's in this paper. I'm just going to say, I hadn't had any kids yet. My hair was long. It was really dark. It had a lot of like volume, and it was thick. My stomach was flatter. Like I look good.
Yeah, I look back at pictures and like, flat stomach and no wrinkles. Wow, what happened? Age, but that's a good thing.
Age, that's the goal. I try not to complain.
Age is the goal. Yeah, we don't complain. And that's one of those things that I've probably told this before. But I remember when I turned 30, and Helen Rosenlieb, an old lady, was at my shop, and she's since passed, but she was an older woman, and I was like, oh, God, Helen, I'm going to be 30. Of course, when I'm complaining about being 30, she's probably 70. Like, oh, my God, you got this. And she looked me face, and she said, well, Stacey, the good Lord doesn't have to give you another birthday. And I went... You're right, and I have not complained about a birthday since.
No, you guys know I don't complain about birthdays.
I believe in celebrating the whole month.
I do too. Yeah.
I'm the birthday. September's the good month. Yeah, so that was just funny though. We just came across that. I'm like, oh, yep. She's like, oh yeah. I'm like, no, above that. Goodness sakes.
Well, I think in my defense, you kind of had your hand like at the bottom, and I was thinking that you were pointing. I don't know, but you weren't. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm glad I finally didn't see it because it is a really good picture. And this newspaper is from 2001. That was a long time ago.
How funny is it? Okay, so you remember like from 1990. First of all, from the 80s. So, Prince had that party. Gonna party like it's 1999. Seemed like that was forever ago, right? And then the millennial. Do you remember like everybody was losing their mind when we're going to turn into 2000? When the world's going to...
Y2K.
Wasn't it Chicken Little happening?
Yeah, the sky's falling. Everything was going to crash.
Have you noticed how the sky's falling a lot?
Yeah. But have you also noticed that it never really does?
Yeah.
A lot of talk, not a lot of action.
A lot of talk, no action. There's got to be a song in there somewhere.
I should write a song.
A whole little talking, not a lot of action. I've tried to write songs. I do not have that gift. My brain gets going.
See, I could write the lyrics, but I don't know. I couldn't write the music to go with it.
I could write the music. You could write the lyrics.
We should be a songwriting team.
Let's do that.
We should. We'll write an album.
We'll write a song. We'll give it to Bailey Zimmerman.
Yeah.
We'll let Bailey do it.
Yeah. And then, that'd be awesome. Okay, new plan.
New retirement plan.
We're songwriters, everybody.
We're songwriters. We're going to be a songwriter team. Yeah, we'll just tell Brent Bailey to contact his nephew and say, hey, Stacey's going to write a song. I'll sing back up with him, too. Gosh darn it. I was going to talk about something in this first little bit of segment.
Oh, shoot. Well, I messed y'all up because I'm blind and couldn't see my own picture. What were you going to talk about?
I have no clue. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about. We're taking the grandkids to the zoo this weekend.
Oh, fun. Yes. St. Louis. Which is really the best zoo. I mean, I don't think people around here don't realize how close we are to one of the very best zoos in the country.
Is it rated like second or third in the country?
For a while I think it was one, but San Diego's usually one.
Always.
But, I mean, I've been to a lot of other zoos, and
St. Louis
none of them compare.
The best.
Yeah.
I've been to San Diego Zoo. It doesn't touch St. Louis. Cincinnati was always a big one. I think it's fallen off. St. Louis Zoo is amazing. We're excited about it. So, yeah, I was like, gosh, I really want to take because they got a couple of twin polar bears. And they got a new baby elephant. So I want to go. I'm like, and I think it's going to be like, the high's going to be like 65. So Jim and I are taking Jack and JoJo over, and we're meeting Connor and Natalie over there. And Mac and Paige have got other things to do that day, so I get the whole day with them.
Nice.
That'll
be fun.
My grandchildren.
Are you just going to do the zoo, or are you going to try to fit in something else?
No, we'll probably just do the zoo, and I want to go to that. Remember that vintage marketplace that I said? Connor's going to take me to that vintage market.
Well, I'm sad I wanted to go with you to that.
Well, we'll go again because I'm going to have my grandkid. How long do you think I'm going to be in that vintage market with Jack and Joanne?
Well, I don't know, but I have been saving. There's other vintage markets over there too. I found like 2 other ones now, and I'm saving the information because I wanted to plan a girls trip and go over there for the day.
Well then, okay, well, perfect.
So we need to do that.
When are we going to do that? Because I'm getting itch. I'm getting cabin fever.
Yeah, but I love, like, a lot of times when we go on a girls trip, we'll do an escape room, and then we'll go like antiquing, like some antique shops and stuff. But we've recently found these like vintage shops over in St. Louis that have vintage clothing, but they also have like vintage furniture and I mean antiques too, but just like some really cool.
Yeah,
cool things.
What did I bring back the last time? Oh, that couch.
She bought a couch, and
for Joanna, a little bit,
and we fit it in the back of Jessica's van. Yeah, didn't we?
I'm afraid if we did that vintage market, I may have to drive along with a truck.
I have a truck. I could probably take.
We may have to take 2 separate vehicles.
Yeah.
Can we all fit in the truck?
Yeah.
Of course, it's just
Jason's truck.
It's usually just me, you, and Jessica, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, sometimes Kim goes, and sometimes. But yeah, I mean, actually, the truck seats 5 pretty comfortably.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we could even fit 6 if we had to.
Well, we're gonna have to take his truck
in the truck.
Yeah, if I get over, because I am looking for something specific.
It stays like that when I miss my Yukon. My Yukon would have been perfect.
That's true, but we don't go to vintage markets all the time.
Yeah, I know.
But we're going to hit St. Louis. I love St. Louis. I think St. Louis is one of the greatest cities in the United States of America. I will argue that there is so much to do in St. Louis. People are like, oh, Chicago. There ain't nothing to do in Chicago. Chicago don't hold a candle to St. Louis.
I agree.
So, yeah, I've been to Chicago a million times. Oh, okay, go. Oh, well, it's got those museums. It's like, well, St. Louis has those too. And it's got, but Chicago, as far as physical things to do, oh, well, there's the Bean. Okay, well, you walk and you look at a big silver bean.
Yeah, I mean, you do that once, you don't really ever need to do it again.
No, where St. Louis, between Busch, Busch Stadium and good. I can't even go.
The Magic House, the City Museum,
the Butterfly
the Science
House,
Center,
the Science Center, the zoo, Six Flags,
the Arch, Six Flags.
Great music, great food.
Good
the
malls.
Fox outdoor theaters, beautiful buildings. The Muni, there's just Union Station,
the aquarium,
Union Station, the aquarium. Oh, you could just go on for days. About St. Louis. And I think St. Louis is easy to get around.
Well,
in.
You know what? If the weather's bad for the zoo, you could always do the aquarium.
Yeah, we've taken them to the aquarium.
Okay.
It's supposed to be 65 and sunny.
Oh, okay, good.
I looked ahead.
The good thing about St. Louis Zoo is even if the weather is bad,
a lot of stuff are inside.
There's a lot of stuff inside. Like our favorite zoo trips have been in like February or March, and there's like no crowd, great parking. You go in and it's cold, but you're all wearing a coat. It's fine. And then you just go to the inside stuff.
Yeah.
And the animals are always active.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking that ought to be a good day, the animals, because it's going to be a nice 65. It's going to be, I think the animals will be back.
Yeah, I bet you're right.
I don't think it'll be real packed Saturday. I hope not. I don't know.
Oh, I think it will be, for sure.
You think it will be?
Oh, yeah.
Because first warm day. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And Jack was like, we're going to the snake house. I said, no, we're not.
I love the snake house.
He's like, we're going to the snake house. I do too. I'm scared of snakes, but I find
the good thing about the snake house, it is fascinating, and you can see up close the snakes, but there's no way that they're going to actually get to you.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah,
they're pretty cool. I'm scared of snakes, but I was teasing him, and I'm like, I'm not going in there. It's smelly. And then he was like, yeah, you know what we're going to do? And I said, what? He's like, we're going to go in to see the monkeys and see your family. I said, well, that's really good, Jack, because you know who's my family? You are. And he went,
that slam was kind of a slam to yourself there, Jack. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
he's a hoot.
He is a hoot, yeah. And, my favorite is, I'm a polar bear. Polar bears all the way. I feel like you could just go in there and snuggle one. I know it would rip your head off.
Yeah.
But gosh darn it, are they not the cutest
They
things?
are so cute. I love the polar bears.
And they swim down. You can be right there. And gosh, they're massive.
And the hippos.
The hippos are awesome. Those hippos. Did I ever tell you about the time I took Connor, the third grade zoo trip? I chaperoned Max and I chaperoned Connor. I had 3 little boys. I had Connor, Trey Tolliver, and J.T. Lewis. course, that hippo was a new thing. So like you can walk down there and like you're in the water. You know, I love the way St. Louis just does
Right,
everything.
like you're like, below the water level,
yes.
so you're looking through the glass and you can see them swimming.
Oh, it's amazing. I'm not lying. So we're down there. We're like watching all these hippo. This hippo, boing, boing. He just starts walking right toward that glass. Mm-hmm. He gets to the glass. He opens
his
mouth. And we're all like looking right down. And then when he closed it, his lips were on the glass.
Oh my!
We saw right down the throat of a hippo.
Oh
the
my!
boys were like, "Oh my!" They were third grade. Oh my gosh, that's the coolest thing ever. They were just like lost their mind.
Because that
over
hippo
it.
wanted to eat those boys.
I think so. And then he turned around and he just boing, boing, and then he got so far away and he did his business. And then, of course, the boys thought that was the greatest thing. Uh-huh. It was boys. They thought that was the greatest thing they'd ever seen, too.
Yeah.
But that was that. They talked about that. Connor, to this day,
talks about that.
Mom, do you remember that? Because Connor and Natalie are going to meet us over there. And he was like, oh, man, you remember that time? And he was in the third grade. He's 30 now. And he was like, that. It was cool. I was like, that hippo's. And he was just like, doo-doo, doo-doo. They say they're very fast, and they say they're evil.
Yeah.
They say a hippo's mean.
Yeah, they're very dangerous. Like, you watch videos from Africa, people, like, on a boat, on a river.
And they're like, oh, little hippo. Yeah,
no, they will attack you in your boat. Like, your boat has to be able to go faster than a hippo, and hippos are really fast in the water. Not on land, but in water.
In the water. Yeah. Boy, they're cool. But my favorite, polar bears all the way. Mm-hmm. I love a polar bear. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You got an ad for us today?
I probably do.
Okay.
Let's see here. I think I picked this one because I'm in a red lipstick mood.
Okay. Oh, wow. She's beautiful.
Whoa, isn't she pretty?
Red Majesty.
Look at her hair. I love this. Red Majesty, new from Tangy. Do you remember Tangy? You could probably read some of this better than I can.
I kind of
I remember Tangy, right? I basically picked this because I love red lipstick.
You're right. Red Majesty is the new queen of the reds.
Yeah.
Actually, I can't read all that small print. It seems a little blurry.
It is a little blurry, probably because I took a
blurry picture.
When I take pictures, it's blurry. But yeah, I saw that and I thought that's a neat picture. But I was like, Red Majesty, the new red in 1940 from Tangy. And I'm thinking, I know I've heard of Tangy before. Mm-hmm. It's kind of been around for a minute, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I thought she was beautiful. And I want to go back to finding lipsticks in gold tubes, like that top right-hand tube.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I just want to go back in time.
Me too.
I wish I could time travel.
Me too.
Look at that super cool hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's just perfect.
Uh-huh.
Yep. I loved the picture. I loved her. She was beautiful.
Yeah, I wish I could time travel too. There's several things I would go back to.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd stay anywhere forever. But you never know.
Where would you go back to?
I used to think that if I were to go back, I would go back to like Little House on the Prairie days.
Yeah, no, I'm not going that far.
But I don't think I want to anymore because it's like after, we read about William Wilson and the hardships and the sickness.
After watching 1883.
I haven't watched that.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go back to that.
No. But I think I would really enjoy like going back to the 40s and the 50s and the at least maybe not everything that was going on, but I definitely enjoy the clothing and the hairdos.
I would hit the 1920s. Mm-hmm. I would hit the flapper. I would hit the 20s, and then I'd go back to the 50s. Mm-hmm. If I could go back in time for 2 decades, that would be the ones I'd do.
So every time
the 20s and the 50s.
Yeah, I like both of those. So every time we talk about time travel, I have to go to one of my favorite movies of all time with Owen Wilson, Midnight in Paris. Mm-hmm. You've seen it, right? Mm-hmm. And if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. But basically, he goes back in time to the 1920s and he meets all these awesome people from the 20s, famous writers and artists. And he meets this woman and she's from the 1920s, but her desire is to go back to what she considers the golden age at like the turn of the century.
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched that in a long time.
And so I guess the message of it is no matter what time period you're from, you always think there's a better one before you, that everyone, but you have to imagine that if you and I went back to the 20s, because we think, oh, the 20s, that would be amazing. We're going to meet somebody there, and they're going to say, oh, I wish I could go back to 1900.
Yeah.
And then if you went to 1900, you would meet somebody that would be like, oh, I really wish I could go back to like my grandparents' age, like the early 1800s. You know, it's just like everyone always, I guess
dreams of that time.
Dreams of an earlier time in your memory, it seems better. Mm-hmm. But is it really?
I don't know. I would like to go back to the 50s, the years my dad was in high school. Mm-hmm. My mom was in junior high. My dad was in high. I'd go back to...
Kind of like a Back to the Future thing?
Back to the Future thing. I'd like to go back and see what my dad was like. Uh-huh. My dad was super cool. Uh-huh. So...
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was very quiet, but my dad was king of the hill. Mm-hmm. He was very popular and stuff. So I'd go back and see what my dad was like.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to pop in and out, but I don't think I'd stay.
Being around Connor is just like being around my dad.
Yeah.
Just different time period.
They do look alike.
Connor looks exactly like my dad, and he acts just like him. Uh-huh. Spitting everything about Connor's.
Isn't that strange how your kids can resemble and act more like their grandparent than their parent? Mm-hmm. I read something about an article about genetics and how common that is, and it's actually, people don't realize it, but like your kids' genetics are usually really strong from one of the grandparents.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I see that in my own kids too.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Connor is just like my dad, and Mac takes a lot of Jim's dad's traits. Mm-hmm. The hunting and the fishing and the outdoorsman. Jim has none of that. Mm-hmm. But Mac has all that. Eagle eye shooter, Mac is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mac's one of the best shots there is. If there's a zombie apocalypse, I'm going to Mac's because there ain't gonna be one.
Well, that's how Jason is too. Like he's
eagle eye shooter.
Jason's an amazing shot, and so I always think like if there is something going on, like I want to be behind Jason because he will shoot whatever is coming for us.
So will Matt.
And he will hit it.
So will Matt. We're going to take a commercial break, and I'm going to come back and talk about the story about Ralph Workman, a man from Ingraham who was in an oil field fire. And it's a very excellent article, and it just gives you hope and things. It was tragic, but yet he survived it and came out on top. So
okay.
I want to talk about Ralph when we get back.
We'll be right back.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine. I'm going to talk about the inspiring true story of Ralph Workman from Ingraham. And I remember when this actually happened. But I'm going to read it. Helen Markham is the one that wrote this story. And I kind of forgot about Ralph. And then it was like just so crazy. There's so many. We're in farming community. We're in oil field community. We've had accidents and stuff in the past. But I really wanted to just talk a little bit about Ralph. This is the story of inspiration about a local man who survived third-degree burns over 90% of his body.
Oh, my.
And this happened in 2003. It is written by a woman who didn't know how to conduct an interview and admittedly has tendency to shy away from all tragedies and those who experience them. This is Ralph's story. It needed to be told, and Helen said she needed to write it. And she said that's something that Ralph had taught her. She said, I drove out on the Dietrich Blacktop on a beautiful Saturday afternoon for a scheduled interview with a great deal of reluctance. My emotional state had a definite jagged edge to it. My husband and I finally put our golden retriever to sleep that morning to make matters worse. Our front porch was covered with our daughter's furniture waiting to be loaded for her cross-country relocation. I basically wanted to stay home and stew in my own losses, mourning one while anticipating the next. So right off the bat, it already starts. She's going to do this article. She's going to write this story on Ralph Workman, who was burned over 90% of his body, third-degree burns. I know what it's like to put a dog down. It's traumatic, okay? Mm-hmm. It's absolutely traumatic. And then she's got so her life is not going really, really well. I kind of had this.
And her only child is moving out.
So here we go. So she's got a woe is me thing. I had a woe is me moment the other day, okay? I was going to tell you a little bit of story. So, it's like I let the world things around me bother me. I'm not going to lie. When the stock market goes down, I have to reassure myself everything's going to be okay because I do panic. Jim's retired. I do have that little moment of oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I had this realization just the other night. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I don't even want to look, to see what's going on financially, blah, 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 blah. And then I realized this weekend there is a big, people get together and do things to raise money for somebody, fundraising event.
A fundraiser?
A fundraiser for that. For that little boy my nephew Travis Knapp, his good friend. They've got that little boy that's got cancer. Mm-hmm. And they got a long road ahead of them. And they did very well at that benefit. Okay, that's benefit. They did well at that benefit. So here I am thinking, oh my goodness, I wonder if I lost a little bit of money in the market. And then God went, Stacey, think about it. Mm-hmm. And so she's kind of, and then you go, wow. So then whenever I have a bad moment of anything, you know what I go to? I go to the book of Job. Mm-hmm. Whenever I'm starting to feel that time when I'm like, oh, woe is me, Yep. Something broke or I got this or that, I always go to the book of Job.
There's always somebody that has it worse.
Always somebody's got it worse. So, Helen's having this same type of experience. Okay? She says, in hindsight, I hoped I could write this story from hearsay and some internet medical research while keeping enough distance to maintain my comfort level. So she really doesn't want to write this story, does she? Mm-hmm. This was a clear indication of how badly I needed to have a face-to-face encounter with Ralph Workman and how much he had to teach me. Nevertheless, I continued on my way, looking for the brick home with the family-built ramp leading up in the front door of 1056 Angel Lane, and the blue-eyed man who beat the odds. I needed to hear Ralph's story that day. But I didn't realize that when he opened the door with a welcoming smile and hands that ended abruptly, without fingers, ended abruptly without fingers. Armed with an empty writing tablet, 2 reliable ink pens, and a nervous hello, I stepped across the threshold. The sunlight streaming in through the living room window that Ralph's face highlighted his light-colored eyes, which looked to be the color of the sky from where I sat. I'm sure Mr. Workman had never been considered as a superhero by onlookers. About 5'10", 150 pounds or so, a soft-spoken and light blue-eyed, he led me into the living room to chat after first asking if I had any trouble finding his home. He was unaware of my fame for getting lost. Neither did he realize I had consulted a penciled map carefully plotted out on a Dairy Queen napkin.
This is before phone navigation.
I returned Ralph's smile and told him the truth. Not a bit of trouble. I had heard that his daughter, Kayla, was in 7th grade when the incident occurred, and that she had set book reading records at her Clay City school. We learned we were kindred spirits in the reading world later in the conversation, when she left the kitchen sink to join her father and me as we talked. Kayla is the youngest among Ralph and wife Brenda's 3 offsprings. Their older daughter, April, was in the Air Force, stationed in South Korea. Their son, Scott, was a senior at the University of Illinois and working at Carle Hospital Lab. Before Kayla entered the living room, she leaned in the doorway with her arms crossed and smiled as her father began to confide that she sometimes read until 1 or 2 in the morning. His back was to her when he asked, "What are you grinning about, Kayla?" Ralph's eyes sparkled as he awaited her reply and continued to look ahead through the living room window. Next, Ralph's wife Brenda joined our group. She had been painting a back room and had just put down a paintbrush to sit at her husband's right side. Light specks of fresh paint dotted her eyeglasses. She was making the most of a couple of days off from her job at Walmart. I could sense her strength and her protective nature as she sat there. She is a small woman with a great deal of stamina. She shared that Walmart had been very good to her and Ralph. The insurance helped them wade through the medical bills, and Walmart had seen to it that she had a job to go back to when she returned after 8 months.
Wow.
She was grateful for that. As I talked with the 3 of them, I soon realized that Ralph didn't go through the fire alone. I could feel the invisible safety net slipping around us as surely as the sun came beaming through the windows. On August 5th, 2003, the afternoon was much like Saturday of my talk with Ralph, according to his daughter Kayla. The sun bounced off the farms and town alike. Pleasant, but hot enough to encourage one to move a lawn chair to a shadier spot after 10 minutes or so, unless one relished the feel of beaded perspiration trickling across their cheekbone and down the neck. Ralph crouched in front of the opening of the 5-foot wide, 20-foot tall, gun barrel, oil-filled tank in southwestern Richland County. He had been well acquainted with the smell of crude oil since the early 80s, although 20 years had passed since he first begun working in the oil fields. Blackening the soles of his work shoes, his wife could recall many of the laundry challenges he brought home from her with the black substance. A lot of Ralph's livelihood throughout the years had dealt with the oil fields or farm fields. So right now it's like this, it's just amazing how anything can happen at any time. Mm-hmm. So he's been in the oil field working for 20 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm just checking my time real quick. Mm-hmm. On this particular August day in 2003, Ralph is not sitting in a lawn chair. He is not overly concerned about his dampened brow or the condition of his clothing. Ralph is intently focused on using a handheld grinder to clean rust from the bolt threads surrounding the opening of the oil-filled gun barrel. He is ignoring another distraction as well. His ill-fitting dentures have a nagging inclination of slip down when he opens his mouth. Although Brenda has reminded him numerous times that he needs to order the permanent replacement set, he has been busy with other tasks, and the dentures will have to wait. Chances are his lips are shut in determination as he grinds away. His old blue Ford Ranger waits for him nearby, as well as a young man named Paul Harmon, who has come along for the ride. Within the bottom of the tank rests some oil sludge. Most tanks have that. Lurking inside the unseen tank are trace gases. These gas vapors creep out of the tank and collide with the sparks created by the grinder as Ralph clears away the rust. We know where this is going, right?
I know where it's going.
Yeah. Wait, where am I? I gotta finish that story. The result violently shoves Ralph back and ignites his clothing. He said, "I knew what had happened right away," Ralph said. "I jumped up and ran under the substructure. I was going to call for help when I realized my pants were on fire. I tossed the phone to Paul and told him the numbers to try. Then I jumped in a 50-foot square pond and waited." Could you imagine being the guy? It's bad enough.
He's lucky he had the guy with him.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're out there alone.
Yeah.
So there was a pond he jumped in.
Yeah. So, yeah, he tossed the phone to Paul and told him to try some numbers. And then he jumped in a 50-foot square pond and waited. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk more about this story.
Okay. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank.
We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online bank, you just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be. Clay County State Bank.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County, Farmers Mutual Insurance.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and I'm talking about the incredible story of Ralph Workman, a gentleman that worked in the oil fields, and who was from Ingraham. And he has just been caught on fire at an oil field tank. It's crazy. So according to Brenda, the pond was one of the many miracles that were lined up in holding pattern for Ralph that afternoon. That Ralph could be cognizant enough to remember phone numbers while he was on fire. The guy's on fire, and he throws the phone to the guy that's with him and says, "Here's some numbers, try calling them." Years before, the pond was a saltwater pit slated to be filled up with dirt. Instead, enough time had elapsed to allow the hole to be filled with rainwater. Ironically, a job that someone else had put off for another day. As had Ralph's procrastination with the replacement dentures, suddenly played a key role in saving his life. Ralph jumped in. Although I don't know how deep it was or to what extent Ralph's clothing was burned, I do know that the water probably hissed and sizzled when Ralph made his flaming entrance. That day, the former saltwater pit served one man well, eventually extinguishing his flames. I've read that fires which penetrate that deeply continue to burn regardless of the absence of a visible flame. The spark that flared up and attached itself to Ralph Workman while he worked continued as he sought refuge in the pond. By the same token, that is why the hot surface red light on a flat surface cook stove stays on long after I've shut off the burners. If Ralph had any red light indicators, they were on for a long time after he stood there, probably at least the first 48 hours of critical care. And a burn is one of the most painful things.
Oh, I know.
It's terrible.
I can't even imagine.
No. I suspect the emergency personnel and hospital staff looked at Ralph's red light warning indicators to blink off during his recovery. I do remember whenever this story broke out, my hair salon was over I think I was still over in Clay City when that happened. And I remember it I mean, they did not think he was going to live. But boy, he sure did come through. Anyone with medical knowledge of burns of that severity would not have given good odds that the lifelong Clay County resident would survive. Many people who have third-degree burns over 50% of their bodies do not survive. Ralph had third-degree burns over 90% of his body. Ralph stood in the water and waited anxiously as the youth dialed the numbers for help. The Noble Rescue Squad, the Richland County Ambulance, the Richland County Memorial Hospital Emergency Department, the Air Evac Team, and later Springfield Memorial all responded quickly to save his life.
Wow.
Many of those involved doing a quick assessment of Ralph Workman would have also told you that if he lived, it was because God wanted him to. The grinder he had held lay on the ground, darkened by the fire and no longer of use to anyone. The flame also melted his dentures, which had aggravated him for the last time but almost assuredly helped save his life. It is customary for human beings to inhale sharply when a fire flares up so closely. I would suppose as much from shock as the need to breathe. If Ralph did try to suck in oxygen, it is assumed that those faulty teeth slipped down one final time, sealing off the path to his lung.
Oh my.
Like a steel vault door slamming shut on stored valuables at a local bank.
Isn't that something?
I just got chills.
Me too.
Isn't that crazy?
That's something else. Yeah, that's cool, actually, that it worked out like that.
Although the dentures were a total loss, they increased the odds for Ralph's survival. The first 48 hours were most critical, and up until then, the doctors could see that his lungs were healthy. They warned family members that his chances of survival were as small as 10%. His temporary teeth had given his lungs a fighting edge. That was the third miracle. One of the most amazing things about that day, aside from the fact that a man on fire shouted out phone numbers as he jumped into a pond and wasn't supposed to be there, and saved his lungs by wearing a set of dentures that wouldn't stay in place, was the perfect timing of each unusual circumstance. Each interlocked with the one before, as dependent and as perfectly arranged as a group of geese flying in tight formation across the autumn sky. Our interview, if you want to call it that, lasted less than a half hour at the most. And although I had just met him, I learned this much about his character. He is not the type to sit back and wait for one miracle after another to keep him alive. He had a few of his own to balance the scales. When the Noble Rescue Squad arrived, along with the fire department, one EMT stood like a sentinel beside the pond that held Ralph. As he waited for the flashing lights and sirens of the ambulance, Ralph asked, "Do you want me to come out?" No, he replied, "Stay where you are." Ralph doesn't remember the chopper ride or the tracheotomy. He underwent numerous skin grafts and surgeries, and Brenda was told many times not to get her hopes up. Some of his skin cells were sent to a lab in Boston to reproduce more of his own skin to be sent back to Springfield.
That's amazing. Didn't know you could do that.
Is that not the craziest thing?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. He was heavily sedated.
I'd hope.
In the beginning, and said it was probably close to 2 months before he came aware of his surroundings. He said, "The farmers were cutting beans before I knew what was going on." He laughed when I said, "Those were some pretty good knockout drugs," Ralph said. Although the staff of the Springfield Memorial Medical Clinic and Burn Center predicted that he would remain with them for a year, Ralph left within 145 days.
Wow.
Ralph said the hospital rooms seemed to get smaller within those 5 months. His wife seldom left his side, moving into the burn unit with him for the, or worse, portion of their 27-year-old wedding vows. She was told on several occasions that his chances of survival were slim and that several of the procedures they were going to have to try were experimental. We're going to take a commercial break, and then I'm going to finish up the story of Ralph Workman.
Okay, we'll be right back.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank.
We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online bank, you just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be. Clay County State Bank.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County Farmers Mutual Insurance.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine. I'm going to finish up the story on Ralph Workman. Helen said that she failed to ask Ralph if he ever thought he was going to die, but she said she never pretended to be Barbara Walters interviewing somebody. She said he did say that he was kind of depressed one Saturday, but received a card in the mail that brightened things up for him. One of the surgeons responsible, I can't even imagine what he went through, for scraping away layers of dead skin, stated that Ralph was very strong. Dr. Stephen Miller, one of the attending physicians whom Ralph seemed to admire the most, also was impressed by Ralph's strong determination to not only live, but to leave his medical field as soon as possible. Dr. Milner cautioned when Ralph questioned how much longer he had to wait for a certain procedure, it's better to take one step and remain standing, and then take two and fall. He also told Ralph, as long as you keep pushing me, I'm going to push right back.
Uh-oh, Diet Coke break. Gotta get that frog out of your throat.
I got a little scratchy tingle cough going on.
I hope you're not getting sick.
I don't feel sick.
Okay, good. Probably just allergies, man. The springtime.
I'm going to leave this right here.
Okay.
Okay. So, as he was recuperating, in addition to the feeding tube, Brenda scouted the area for Burger Kings and McDonald's to bring him some of the 3,000 to 5,000 calories a day he needed to regain his strength.
Wow.
At one point, the nurses were bringing him 3 strawberry shakes a day to supplement his healing body.
Oh.
Whew. I asked him, didn't you get tired of them, Ralph? Not the nurses, but the milkshakes. He smiled and replied, no, I like strawberry shakes. He also mentioned that he got to know the staff very well
I'm sure.
at Springfield Memorial, and that a nurse named Amber could slip in and out of his room the most quietly. Around the end of September, Ralph began breathing on his own. He also began talking and stood up for the first time on the morning of October 1st and indicated a desire for a bath. Oh, gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I don't even know how that would feel.
I don't either. The doctor arranged for him to have a whirlpool bath, which was quite a bit different than the pond he had stood in that August day. August till October.
Yeah. And you think about like that, all the bacteria that was in that pond.
Oh, gosh.
You know, so
yes.
his risk of infection
Oh, man.
had to be through the roof with 95% of his body?
90%. He had been told the Thursday before that his fingers had been removed and half of each thumb. News that initially set him back. Ralph later adjusted his attitude and expressed his realization that it could have been much worse, and he was thankful for it. I asked Ralph if there was anything specific he wanted people to know. Yes, he said. With the way the medical technology is today, don't ever give up. Keep fighting, he said. Brenda and he agreed that the spiritual and financial support they received were greatly appreciated, and they sing high praises to everyone who has helped them out. The young man riding with him, the Noble Rescue Squad, the Richland County Ambulance, the Richland Memorial Hospital, the Air Evac team, and the Springfield Memorial all played pivotal roles in his survival. Brenda said that the Air Evac team continues to phone with questions about Ralph's progress. Springfield Memorial and the Clay County Health Department home health staff nurses, aides, and occupational and physical therapists have played a pivotal role in his recovery. Brenda agreed that the medical nurses and doctors were fantastic in Springfield, but stressed that the network of hospital chaplains and social workers were the lifesavers as well. Ralph said that he was visited by 3 preachers from the county and that it meant a lot to him. He knew that Springfield was quite a distance for anyone to travel to check on him. He appreciates their efforts and those of everyone else who helped out with fundraisers, blood drives, donations, thoughts, prayers, cards, and visits. Some family members, such as Brenda's mother, Marie Sparling, have stayed with him so Brenda could take care of things. Ralph's brother, Glenn, has been taking care of Ralph's cattle and fulfilling many of his oil field responsibilities for the past year. It has truly been a widespread team effort with many family, friends, and total strangers helping out. He received over 500 cards during his stay in Springfield. During his only Christmas on the 5th floor of the Burn Center, he received 50 Christmas cards. He still regrets that he was the only one to receive all 19 cards delivered to his floor one day. If my name hadn't been written on them, I would have shared them with some of the others, he said.
Aww.
Although I don't know for sure, I think Ralph's days at home may seem long. He doesn't get the company he used to or the cards. He knows that people are busy and some are hesitant to approach him like he was. He wears a gadget called a turnbuckle every night to help stretch out the skin on his arms, especially his elbows. Though padded, it looks uncomfortable. Brenda has to set it in place to apply pressure for the evening. Brenda said that he still has a way to go, but he would get there. He came home on New Year's Eve, 2003. I can almost see him walking up the same ramp that I crossed over. I'm sure he was surrounded by anxious family members. By the way, I will always remember Ralph Workman, although I wasn't there that day either while he stood in that pond with his light blue eyes fixed on the EMT next to him. Ask him if he could walk out yet. That is basically the question he kept going. He kept goading Dr. Dillman with, "Can I go home yet?" Let's show a picture of Ralph. This is who we're talking about. This is Ralph Workman from Ingraham, a very strong man who survived something that most people wouldn't. 90% third-degree burns on 90% of his body in an oil field accident.
Wow.
Most people would have never survived that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, good man.
Yeah.
Like I said, this happened in 2003. I'm assuming, I think Ralph is still alive.
I don't know Ralph, but yeah, I think that he is too. So I hope he doesn't mind that we covered this and that, it was just something that inspired us that she saw in the paper, and we've just been kind of going through these old hometown journals and pulling out interesting little tidbits of Clay County history and wanted to share that story.
I mean, I really wish the hometown journal, well, we need Bill for the hometown journal to be around, but yeah, there's just so much information in them, and I don't even think people get anymore, do they?
Get what?
Get any more newspapers, like physical newspapers anymore?
Well, yeah, the Clay County Republican.
Yeah. Did we ever do a job? We did Richard Conley, didn't we? Conley Jim? Maybe we didn't.
Yeah, I think we did actually talk about him.
Did we do? I know we did Dancy. I think I did Conley.
I think you did too.
I think I did miss. I don't know if I ever saw. I don't know if I ever saw a picture of him.
Yeah. So
I'll have to look at it and see.
Yeah, but that was definitely an inspiring story on Mr. Workman.
Yeah,
very inspiring.
That was a great story. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Good stuff. Oh, you want to see it? Hey, take a picture. Take a picture of your picture.
Take a picture of my picture and share it with.
Let's share it with everybody.
Okay.
Take a picture. Okay, so she's gonna take a picture of a picture, and then we're gonna send it to Ty, and he's gonna show it to you guys. Too funny. Yeah, this was in the same paper that Polka Dot was in.
Okay.
This paper was good. It had Ralph Workman in it. It had a thing of Polka Dot, and it had Mr. Conley in it. So that's kind of a done thing. That's neat. Huh. All right. I can't wait till you see this picture of her.
Okay, Ty. It's headed your way.
Did you send it?
Yeah, I sent it.
Okay, let's show this picture. What? This was, okay, how old were you in 2004?
Let's see, 20.
Do math. That's funny.
Let's see. What'd you say? What year it was? 2003?
2004. This was 2004. There she is.
I was 25. I was going to say 24.
You were 25?
25 years old.
Woo! Looky there.
This was either right before I had Malia or right after. I'm going to go with right before probably, but.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, look at that hair.
I know, you had so much.
Yes.
You had so much long hair.
And that's my Aunt Lori Van Dyke, for those of you that know her. And she ran Farmers Insurance, and I worked for her.
I never did realize that I didn't realize you worked for her.
I did, yep.
How long did you work for her?
A couple years, 2 or 3 years probably.
Did she always do?
She used to be a loan officer at Bank and Trust for years, for Bank and Trust, and then she started her own Farmers Insurance Agency office.
Is she retired?
Yes, she is. They moved down by DuQuoin near their daughter Hillary.
Oh, that's right. They did move, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yep. So she doesn't live here anymore. But
I always liked her.
Yep.
Didn't he preach in there for a while?
Yep.
Wasn't he preaching somewhere?
Yep. Hoosier.
Who's the preacher at Hoosier now?
I do not know. I do not know. So
very interesting. We're ahead of time, so
okay.
Let's talk about.
All right. Yeah. So I liked working at Farmers. We worked inside of my Uncle Timmy's OK Automotive building. That's where her office was that's a big building. So part of one side of that was insurance and the other side was OK Automotive. So we all worked in there. And then that was the building so I worked there while I was pregnant with Malia, and I went into labor with Malia 6 weeks early while I was at work, sitting there, and my desk was inside the big foyer thing as you come in that main building, and you could kind of veer off once you entered the building, you could veer off to the right and go to the insurance side, or you could kind of go a little bit to the left and straight and go over to the car repair side. So my uncle Timmy ran the car repair side, and my Aunt Lori ran the insurance side. So we were all family there. I mean, there were a few other employees, but we were basically all family. And I got up to use the restroom, and when I stood up, my water broke. And it wasn't just water like a little trickle.
It was like
the Kentucky Dam just burst, and water just poured out all over the floor. And I had one of those smooth desk mats on the carpet because it was carpeted, but I had one of those things so your office chair can roll around real smooth, and it just sounded like like hitting the floor, like what is happening? And but luckily my aunt was the first one over, and she was like, what's going on? And then my uncle was like, what's going on? And everyone was just super excited, and they called Jason, who worked a few blocks away, and he rushed over there and picked me up, and we were off to the races.
You were off to the races.
Yeah, so a lot of memories there.
So basically, Malia wanted to be born in an insurance office.
Yeah, I guess.
Or an auto place.
My kids are always in a hurry to get out.
Yeah,
so.
Tim's been he's had OK Auto for years, hasn't he? How long has he's been a mechanic? Well, he's been a mechanic when we were in high school. He's a year older than I am.
Yeah, before he owned that building, he had OK Automotive on Presley Street over by Napa.
Yeah,
and that other little building there.
That's right.
And gosh, that was way back in the 90s. I don't know when he started the business. I was little.
I don't know either. Yeah. Of course you were little. You were, I'm just a young whippersnapper.
I'm just a young whippersnapper.
No, not as young as in that picture.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say I took a
It
picture,
is
so I'm gonna
funny.
send that to Lori. I think we've probably both forgotten.
Do you have
that picture.
Do you have wedding pictures?
Mm-hmm.
Around
I think I shared a
around
few
your
when
house?
we did that wedding
we did
episode.
Something. We did a wedding.
Yeah, I don't really have any of them out, like where you can see them if you come visit. But I do have a book on the shelf that has wedding
I
pictures.
have our bedroom. I have a couple of our wedding pictures in our bedroom in frames. I like to look at that fresh face, skinny. No wrinkles.
I understand. Yeah.
No wrinkled girls. Yeah, so fun. Gosh, the 80s. Oh, the 80s. Getting farther and farther away. Good Lord, this year's my 40th class reunion.
Oh my! I read something the other day, and it said, like, I don't remember the year, but it's just as close to like 1991 as 1931. Like, I don't remember but it was basically like,
It's so
okay,
weird.
when I was in school and I look back at 1931, that seemed like so far
long
away,
ago.
like ancient history. But now it would be actually closer to what we are today to that
Yeah,
time.
I've read those.
Something like that. And I don't remember the years
I don't know,
that
but
it
it's
chose,
rude.
but it was like, holy cow, that really puts things in perspective. So, okay, you got something funny to end the show with? Okay.
Oh, yeah. You're stupid.
Okay. You're stupid.
Here's your
sign.
I was on my way to play tennis the other day, and a guy asked me, "Is that your tennis racket?" I said, "No, it's I can't miss fly swatter." These
All
are
right.
so funny. When I was flying to Hawaii, we hit some turbulence at 35,000 feet. The man next to me looked out his window. "What was that?" he asked, clearly worried. I said, "Oh my goodness, we just hit a dog." I'm going to do another one. These are just too good. I'm just reading ahead because you never know.
You never know.
I was spraying an insecticide on the flowers in our backyard, and my neighbor asked, "Are you killing bugs?" I said, "Nope, I'm just trying to get them drunk and hope they drive home."
That's my favorite one. I'm just getting them drunk and hope they drive home. That's awesome. Yeah. He's smart. He's pretty quick.
He's funny.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's so funny because like I've got the redneck one in there. Of course, then you had the Larry the Cable Guy. He don't have a book, and then the funny guy, the one that was drinking and smoking all the time. And what were they called? What did we say they were called? Blue collar.
Blue collar comedy, yeah.
Blue collar comedy. That Bill, like I never really did. He was probably my least favorite, but boy, this book is funny.
Yeah, it's good.
It's funny.
It's
Beth,
good.
tell everybody where they can see us.
You can watch us on Wabash Television, Catch 100. We air daily, not daily, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and again at 3 p.m. Our new episodes are on Thursdays and Fridays, and you can watch all of our old episodes all the way back to the very beginning on our YouTube channel and just type in Beth and Stacey. Once you get to YouTube, you'll see our picture pop up. Click on that. That is our YouTube page, and all of our videos are there. And that pretty much sums it up. So,
Well, I'm gonna when I get home today,
uh-huh.
I'm going to go and I'm going to spray weeds and bugs and hope that they get drunk and they drive
home. Yeah. Good plan.
Sounds like a good plan to me. That's it, Beth.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
God bless you and have a great day.